Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook Live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. So all the ways that you're connecting with us, welcome to the show. Inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I appreciate you and thank you so much for being here. Of course, Cafe Kubal, we were just at yesterday with Rob Drummond in Manlius. We were at their newest location on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. They've done an incredible job taking over that building. And really, when you come into Manlius at the kind of connection of all of these roads, it's right there. You know, I think Cafe Kubal is like a welcome to Manlius, so to speak, now. As you're coming in, all these roads converge, and there's the brown striped building. They just took out an entire area to expand the parking lot. There's so many spots to park now. It's incredible. It's huge. It's wonderful. And they have outdoor seating. You go inside, you can dine in there and hang out, have your coffee, get something to eat. You can also go upstairs and sit over there and overlook the cafe downstairs. So it's really a multi-purpose, multifaceted, really amazing design for the newest Cafe Kubal. And Rob and I got to be there. You could go back and watch our show by going to Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, where you are right now, as well as on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, which is our official page for Wake Up Call. And you can go to YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, where you are now as well, and watch it back there, as well as so many videos, and episodes of our show. So definitely make sure you do that and support Cafe Kubal today. A lot of amazing stuff coming up today, and a big shout out to the island and the state of New York in and of itself. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory bringing you What's Pop in the list of topics of the day. As you know, every single Friday we have 3 signature segments here on Wake Up Call. We start with the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Then we get into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero. The Top Dog of the Week is announced, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding of East Syracuse. And that will bring me into who we're honoring as this week's Top Dog of the Week, which will extend out into a full conversation with Andrew Smith, the Marywood University, my alma mater, women's soccer head coach for the Pacers, who just got his 200th victory in the final game of this past season, which was brought out to the end of April. So the 2020 season, they only got to play 3 games, and they did it in 2021 to count toward his record and to build toward the future for Marywood University. So a lot of great stuff coming up today. Very, very excited to be able to bring this to you. So without further ado, let's get right into it with the Annoying Moment of the Week. Proudly brought to you by Carvel DeWitt.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The Annoying Moment of the Week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
You have to be that crazy. I guess so. The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. You know that when I do the Annoying Moment of the Week, if I have more than one scoop, I give you 2 scoops or 3 scoops, whatever it may be. If I have more than one annoying moment, I call them scoops. And obviously in connection with Carvel DeWitt, sometimes I have the Leaning Tower of ice cream because I have 4 or 5 scoops. So my first scoop, my first annoying moment of the week this week, would have to be something that I had to deal with my little puppy, Lily. So Lily's a little sweetheart. She's a tiny little pup. And I have, she goes outside. She goes in the backyard. She goes potty. She's really good about it. She'll sniff around a little bit. I have bunnies in my backyard, so she'll kind of look for them and whatnot. But ultimately, she kind of does her business most of the time and comes right back inside. So I'm laying in bed with Lilia a couple nights ago, and I had felt something earlier in the day on her ear, and I kind of just, picked at it because one time she had kind of a scab because they had cut her ear when she was getting groomed or whatever. And so I kind of picked at it, and I was like, you know what? I want to check this because I want to know what it is. So I'm laying in bed, and I pick at this thing, and she kind of doesn't bother with, she doesn't like react too much. And then she kind of like, starts to walk away, and I hit it, and I pull it back, and I see it in her hair, and I just pull it right out, and I put it on my nightstand thinking maybe it's dried blood or whatever, and I see it on its back, and it starts doing the feet thing, and I was like, ugh, I have never had an encounter with a tick. Thank God I could say that, 35 years, never had an encounter with a tick. I hope that I never do again. I hope that I never do. And so I see this thing, and I'm like, ugh. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the bed, I'm on the phone, I'm talking about it. There's another one laying on my bed sheet, and Lily goes to eat it, or she goes to like hit it with her nose or whatever. And I'm like, no, and I hit it, and then it goes up and it goes over the sheet, and I grabbed that one and threw that one out as well. But I was hoping in my head, I'm like, what if there was one under there, and then there's one on the sheet when I hit it? What if I saw a third one? What if there was three, not two? Because I didn't see where when I hit that one, I thought it's the one that went over the sheet. But I didn't know, so I had to take all my sheets. It was later at night. I had to wash everything, and I was concerned for Lily, her first and foremost for her, and then, concerned for me secondary because these stupid things. So I'm like checking my body. I'm like looking at everything, trying to make sure that I'm okay. And so, yeah, it's got to be my first annoying moment of the week because yuck and ill, and it's just gross. And I just... I don't even, because people talk about pulling them out of their kids' hair, and the thing that I love is that this thing was not ingrained in her, and I was able to just pull it right out. The other thing that I love is that the other one, I don't know where the heck it came from, but it wasn't stuck to her. So it's beautiful, and that was the case. But that kind of just makes me like, it kind of skeeves you out, and who likes ticks, you know what I mean? So I'm not a fan by any stretch of the imagination. I've never seen one on Lily. I've never seen one on me. Thank God. I hope that's the last one that she ever has, and I hope that I never have any. And, so just check your dogs, check your kids, check yourself. The thing, growing up as a kid, we always laid in the grass. That's what you did. We didn't know anything about ticks growing up as kids. We just laid in the grass. We lay in the grass, watch the stars. The thing that we were concerned about is mosquitoes. But we lay in the grass, we watch the stars, we lay in the grass after the lawn's cut, we lay in the grass with our dogs, we lay in the grass just because we're tired, or we lay in the grass because it's a nice day, we want to look up at the sun. It's not something we ever thought of as kids, and now you think about it. So just check your kids, check yourself, check your animals, check your cats and your dogs and all the good stuff. Another annoying moment of the week actually happened when Rob and I were at Cafe Kubal. And that annoying moment is when Rob and I, unfortunately, saw a bird. We were just talking and we heard this doom, and we both looked at the glass window because we were sitting at Cafe Kubal on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. We were sitting above, so there's like a countertop and stools, really cool stools. They look like, coffee, like kind of just coming out of that pot. It looks like that, but it's three stripes of it, kind of the steam coming out. And that's the thing on the back of all these chairs, because they're not just stools, they have the back support, which I love those because I think that's great. I think it's good to have, proper posture and back support. So we're sitting up there and we're doing the show. And if you go back and watch the video, you'll see when it happens. Because Rob and I both heard it, and then he went, wow, and I went, ugh. And we both, at the same time, we just saw, we heard the hit, and I kind of saw the body, like the silver body, like the grayish body just hit, and then you see these feathers go. And I didn't see anything fall, so him and I were just hoping, this bird did not know there was a window there. And it was really creepy. And so it's one of my annoying moments of the week, because I never like to see anybody hurt, including animals. And I just hope the bird's okay. I pray for the bird to be safe and sound and to be back with their family, in all honesty. To some people, that might not mean anything. To me, it means a lot, birds, human beings, cats, dogs, reptiles, it doesn't matter. I mean, plants, I don't wish bad on anything. And to see anything in pain for me, it's a living thing. It was created by God, and in my opinion, and it's beautiful. I mean, that's the truth to me. So it was a very disturbing. I don't want to say. I mean, it was just kind of a very eerie moment, and not strange. Just very strange. So I hope the bird's okay. That's another annoying moment of the week. The next annoying moment of the week for me is the playoff seeding for the NBA. Now, I know that it puts more teams out there, but, anybody that's watched the NBA over the years, that teams with losing records or 500 records have made it because it's top 8, right? And there's 30 teams in the NBA. So there's 15 on one side, 15 on the other. More make it in a conference than don't make it. 8 make it, 7 don't. So 8, obviously 15 and 15 makes 30. The top 8 teams make it. So that means 8 make it, 7 don't in the East and in the West. And so to me, when it comes to playoffs, I feel like it should be less teams are making it than, you know what I mean? Like NCAA tournament, 68 teams make it for Division I men's basketball. There's over 300 schools. 64 make it for women. So I like that. I like the fact that it's hard to get into, and it's not always fair, which that needs to be changed and the criteria for that. But most of the time, teams aren't getting in with losing records. I think it happened recently when a team won their conference tournament and they had 9 wins and 13 losses or something like that. But in the world we live in general, in the sports world, I always think that it should be this many make the playoffs, and the rest of them don't. You know what I mean? So, you expand the NFL to include an extra playoff team, and the NFL has 32. So you put 7 and 7 instead of 6 and 6. You put 7, so that's 14 that make it, 18 that don't. Still less make it than do make it, or less make it than don't make it. And so, that's something to look at. I struggle with the new playoff format because, they say, well, it gives more credence to the regular season. No, it doesn't. It kind of does, but it doesn't. I guess if you're out of the playoffs, you got to keep fighting and not tank or whatever. But if you're the 7th or 8th best team, you're the 7th or 8th best team. I would think that you fight in the regular season when you're coming down the stretch and you're only above the 9th and the 10th team by a game or a game and a half or whatever it may be, and you got 3 games to go. I don't think you need the play-in game or whatever you want to call it. This thing, this little mini wild card NBA thing that they're doing now, where the 7 plays the 8, the 9 plays the 10, and then the winner of the 7-8 advances. The loser of that plays the winner of the 9 and 10. So if you're the 8 seed, you have to prove yourself, and you either have to beat the 7 or you have to beat the 9-10. So you could have a winning record, the 9-10 could have a losing record or a 500 record, and you're better than them, because 1 through 8, you're better than them, but at the end of the day, you end up losing. What if the 7 seed loses, right, to the 8s? So the 8 goes to the playoffs. The 7 seed loses, they play the 9-10, and they lose. Now the 7 seed's not in, but the 8, 9, and 10 are in. That doesn't make sense. What if the 7 seed has out of 82 games, what if the 7 seed is 37 and 32, right? Or I said 82 games. So what if they're 47 and 32? Did I do that right? 47, no. Okay, I'm not doing my math right. 47 and 35. There you go. Because then that's the carry the 2. Okay, Daniel, there we go. We did it. So, what if the 7 is 47 wins, the 8 is 40, and then the 9 and 10 are 35 and 30 or something like that. It's just, I don't see the value in having a Niner. I mean, it gets more teams involved, which allows more cities to be involved, which allows more money to be made across the NBA. You know, if your team's at 10, then you're still watching at the end of the year instead of checking out a couple days before. But, I mean, what does it really do? You know, it makes you check in for 2 games. Well, Dan, 2's better than none. Yeah, I agree. 2's better than none. But, I mean, I've kind of accepted the fact. I'm a Raptors fan. I've been a Raptors fan since their institution. If the Raptors are a 10 seed, well, you know, it sucks, but they didn't make the playoffs. I mean, I just can't fathom that. You know, when I was playing basketball growing up, and I'm playing in high school, right? So I'm playing in high school, and I'm playing CYO, and I'm playing for St. Joe's. If they say the top 8 seeds make it, but you guys are the 10, and we're going to let you get in or have the opportunity to get in, I mean, yeah, as a player, that's great, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but we're not good enough to get in. And, you know, like, we didn't prove it. Well, you know, maybe there was injuries. I mean, but you could say a multitude of things. Everybody has injuries, right? You know, not everybody, but so, you know, teams have, it's a normal part of the game. Teams have injuries. People have, in the NBA, guys sit, you know. That was never something that you could do when I was growing up. You couldn't, Michael Jordan didn't sit. He didn't just like, you know what, I'm not going to play for the next, 3 weeks. Like, that didn't happen. David Robinson didn't sit. Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, Allen Houston, you know, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Detlef Schrempf. I said Reggie Miller, Tim Hardaway, Scottie Pippen. Guys didn't sit. Clyde Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon. Nobody sat. They played. You know? Like when you would watch those games and it's like the Spurs are going to sit Tim Duncan, and it was almost like, let's see if they can get away with it and not get fined. To me, I think it's stupid. And I don't know. I'm against players sitting. Well, you know, they're getting older and this. Okay, I mean, like, I always think about it in the sense of, what if I had a son or a daughter and they loved the Lakers, right? So I fly across the country and it costs me, let's say they're 10 years old or something like that, 10, 12. So it costs me round trip $700 to fly. Let's just say it's $700, right? So it's $700 to fly. We're going to stay the weekend. I get a hotel for 2 nights. And so let's say that costs me $500. So now I'm at $1,200, right? I got to buy my kid food and myself food. We got to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 days, and then like breakfast the next day, maybe a lunch when we're flying home. So I got to get, you know, at least 8 meals, right? So I'm already at $1,200. Now I got to get meals. So let's say my dinner meals are 50. So that's 100 because there's 2 of them. Let's say my lunches are 30. There's 3 of those. So that's 90 plus 100. So that's 190. And let's say breakfast, we just grab a Danish or something for the 3 mornings. So let's say that's $15. So it's $45 in total. So that's $235. So add that to the $1,200. Now I spent $1,435. $1,435. Then I buy us 2 tickets. They cost me $100 a piece. So now $1,435. Now it's $1,635. And we, you know, I get them a jersey. So $1,635. And then let's call it with the stuff we buy, the jersey and the pennant, whatever. So that's $200. So that's $1,835. Then I got to pay to park, right? Or I got to get an Uber. So before I know it, I'm spending $2,000 to bring my 10-year-old son or daughter to a Lakers game across the country. And LeBron just decides he's not injured. He just decides he doesn't want to play. Just makes that decision. I'm not going to play. And it's my kid's favorite player. And we bought these tickets 6 months ago. So I spent $2,000 to go across the country to have my kid go to their first Lakers game and LeBron's not playing. Right? That's what I think about. Well, Dan, the guys want to build longevity and they're tired. And, if they want to play for 4 more years, then they need to sit 15 games a season. Again, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, John Stockton, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Clyde Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Joe Dumars. They didn't sit. You didn't sit. And by the way, back then, the league had a lot of good teams. You couldn't just buy a franchise. You couldn't just buy your championship. Detroit was good. Indiana was good. Chicago was good. Utah was good. Seattle was good, which is now Oklahoma City. So Seattle was good. The Knicks were good. Houston was good. The Spurs were good. The Suns were good. You're talking all of these teams. The Celtics were good. Did I say the Lakers? But, so you got 10, 11 teams there that are all good. Right? 10 or 11 teams. You're almost at half the league was good. Nowadays, Brooklyn just backed the Brinks truck up and made their team. LeBron, wherever he goes, he backs the Brinks truck up and makes a team. So, it's ridiculous to look at that. The Sixers were good. The Raptors were good for, some times there with Damon Stoudemire as well as with Vince Carter. So, for me back then, guys weren't sitting. You couldn't just go, oh, it's a Tuesday and I just want to take a little break. You couldn't do that. Well, they're tired. Okay, well, David Robinson played forever. Sean Kemp played for a while. Gary Payton, Reggie Miller, Jordan played, left, came back, And so to me, it just, this whole, well, they have to sit and they have to relax. Like, that's an annoying moment of the week. And on top of that, it's annoying about this, strategizing. You play a sport, so play the sport. And if at the end of the season you're the 9th team, you're not in the playoffs. Right? No sitting unless you're hurt. Just play. Right? If your father or mother, somebody passed away, I get that. But sitting just because you're playing a chess game, it's ridiculous. If LeBron sits 5 games and Anthony Davis sits 7 games, and then they're complaining at the end of the season that they're 2 games behind, and we should be a 9 seed, we should have a chance of the play. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't have sat for those 13 games. Figure it out. I couldn't imagine making it to the NBA, being totally healthy and gone, you know what, I'm going to sit out because I want to be ready for the playoffs. Of course you want to be ready for the playoffs, but isn't that what conditioning is for? Could you imagine going to a game like that analogy that I came up with, spending $2,000, bringing your kid, you're ecstatic, he's happy, she's happy, you're happy, and you get to the game and they're not playing because they just didn't feel like it, they just didn't want to, it's a strategy? That's ridiculous. That game shouldn't be on television then. And if they decide not to play just because, then you know what? You don't get paid for that game. If you decided not to go to work, you think that they should just pay you for that day? Well, Dan, we could have sick days and vacation days. Okay. I get that. But if you're on a vacation day, go on vacation. Don't be sitting there with a suit on the sideline totally healthy. It's ridiculous to me. And I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right to do it. I don't. Because how many people want to play this sport and, just, they never make it. And then here you are, just taking a little break because you feel like it. And this strategizing toward the playoffs and all this BS, you play 82 games, okay? You play 82 games in a normal year. That should be enough games, Or play an odd number of them, because odds usually help out more. Play 83 or 81. But you play 82 games, you should be able to figure it out. The 7 should not be playing the 8. The 9 shouldn't be playing the 10. Because if the 7 gets bumped out of the playoffs and the 8 and the 10 or the 8 and the 9 make it, it's not fair. It's just not fair, and it's not right. So to me, I don't agree with it. It's an annoying moment of the week, because what is wrong with saying the top 8 and the top 8 make it? Why is that difficult? Why do we have to look at 9, 10, and why do we have to look at 7 and 8 playing each other to try and earn the right to be there? 6 doesn't have to play anybody. 5 doesn't have to play anybody. 4 and 3 don't have to play anybody, right? 1 and 2 might be leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the teams, but I don't see 6 having to play anybody. Well, Dan, that's why you fight for the 6 seed. No, you fight for the 6 seed because you want to make playoffs. I just don't see the value of this extension. I see why they did it last year, because they had to stop everything due to COVID. But this year, you're playing your regular schedule outside of the Toronto Raptors. Everybody's at home. So, that to me, if anybody's going to get any type of aid this year, it would be the Toronto Raptors, because they don't play at home. Their away games are away and their home games are away in Tampa. Over 1,000 miles from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So I'm not for the expanded playoff, because, well, Dan, it helps. The notion of Dan, it helps because it puts more emphasis on, working hard at the end of the season. It's like, no, I mean, if your team is good, they're good, right? If your team is plagued by, put it like this. When Syracuse football has been plagued by injuries, nobody let them play in the college football playoff as an apology. Or in the BCS National Championship. Oh, well, you would have been good, but you didn't have anybody. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah, it stinks if your players go down and they're injured. But what can you do? Jacksonville has had an offensive line that hasn't stayed healthy completely from left tackle to right tackle in years. They don't write a letter to the NFL saying we should make the playoffs with 1 win. We should make the playoffs because we've had a really tough year and we've had injuries. It's considered part of the game. So I think the top 8 seeds should make it in the East. The top 8 should make it in the West. And if you don't like it, well, tough noogies. Then you need to be in the top 8. It's not the NBA's job to fix your season. It's not fair. Why don't you just let everybody in the playoffs? Then the regular season really, honestly, does not matter. But you have more in than out right now. And now you have more involved. You got 20 out of 30 teams involved in the potential playoffs. Well, Dan, that's good for their cities. Yeah, okay, it builds revenue. But is it fair to the game or does it dilute it? I don't think it helps. I don't think people that aren't watching the NBA, like an average fan that's not watching the NBA now, is not going to watch it with play-in games. If they don't watch it now, they're not going to watch it for the, ooh, let's see who make... No, they're not watching it for that. I don't think a average, like, I don't dislike the NBA, but I don't really care for it. I don't think that's going to bring in new people. I just don't see that happening. So, I don't agree with it. I would have to say that. My other annoying moment of the week is I was watching a video, and what is this thing about octopus punching fish for no reason? Like an octopus just like swimming about, and then like this fish comes by, and first and foremost, I had no idea that they could fling out their arms or their tentacles that quickly to just like hit something. But the octopus is just kind of, on the ground, just kind of waving about, moving its body, and this fish comes by, and the octopus just punches it. Boom. Like right in the face. Boom. You know what I mean? Like, what would you do if that was like a human thing? You went into the grocery store and somebody just like hit you with their cart or just like punched you in the face. Like, why? So it's an annoying moment of the week because like, why are octopus going out there punching people in the face? I think that's crazy. It's not nice. And they're not eating them. It's not like they're catching them or they're, striking them with something so they can, so that they can feast on them. They're just going about the water, punch a fish in the face, punch another fish in the face, water, bang, bang, water. You know what I mean? Maybe this is the octopus dance. Maybe it's this, punch, punch, and then a little bit more of the shimmy. I don't know. Maybe I've created a new dance. But with that being said, those are my annoying moments of the week. If you're an octopus, please refrain from willy-nilly punching those that live in the beautiful water. Stop punching them in the face, especially if they're not bothering you. You know what I mean? So I don't like violence in general, and senseless violence even less do I like it, if that's possible. But yeah, if you're an octopus, stop punching fish in the face. Never thought I'd have to say that on the show, but I surprise myself every day, and God surprises me. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The annoying moment of the week, those many scoops, were proudly brought to you by Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like, and it is the exclusive home of the Orange Dream. My spin on words, and obviously the color of the great city of Syracuse and our community is very proudly orange. There's a lot of orange here, and a lot of orange all over the world because of Syracuse. So make your way out to Carvel DeWitt exclusively for the Orange Dream, which is my sundae and shake form of having an orange creamsicle. Essentially, it's like having a creamsicle deconstructed or drinking a creamsicle as a shake. Get yours today at Carvel DeWitt, exclusively on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. With that being stated, inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, we'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll be back with Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, proudly brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero, right after this.
It's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, where you're listening. You're watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, all inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Fill up your cup today with your favorite coffees, as well as cold brews, chai, and all of their teas that they have at Cafe Kubal, as well as their sandwiches, their breakfast, oh my gosh, all their stuff that they have for breakfast, for lunch, just the snacks that you could take with them, the croissants, the chocolate chip banana breads, the cookies, and so much more. Now they have their little trail mix put together too. So get all of that at Cafe Kubal today on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, and Golisano's Children's Hospital inside all of those 5 locations in Syracuse, and their location at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, where Rob and I spent our time this week, Rob Drummond. So, with that being said, MaandPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. While you're listening, get it poppin' by going to MaandPazPopcorn.com. Whether you live here in Central and Upstate New York, or you live in any one of the 50 states, you can order in-store pickup as well as online delivery at MaandPazPopcorn.com. If you go to the website and you use my promo code DT20, that's DT20, it's right up here, it's up here all the time, MaandPazPopcorn.com. Promo code DT20 online only. You can use it online only. DT20 at MaandPazPopcorn.com will give you the opportunity for in-store pickup or delivery to any one of the 50 states to get 20% off. So if you're heading over to 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, get 20% off. And if you're ordering online and having it shipped out to, wherever you live, Washington, California, another part of New York, Pennsylvania, Florida, the Carolinas, Texas, Idaho, North Dakota, wherever you may be, go to MaandPazPopcorn.com and use the promo code DT20. It's DT20 for 20% off your next purchase. So, inside of What's Poppin', we gave you the Annoying Moment of the Week presented by Carvel DeWitt. Now it's time for Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, proudly brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero. So, my portion here, my topic here today for Lead, which is Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. It's an acronym I created over a year ago, presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York. Lead for today, the topic is the power of prayer. Now, again, I appreciate that there are different religions, there are different things that people focus on or don't focus on, and I can respect that and I can appreciate that, and I ask that people respect and appreciate my differences as well. The fact that I do very openly, very freely believe in God. I don't force it on anybody. I'm proud to be Catholic. I'm proud to be Christian. I'm proud to believe in God. And so the power of prayer. And, I have friends that are all different, and I've met people from different backgrounds. I've met agnostics, atheists, Catholics, people that are Christian but are not necessarily Catholic, people of the Jewish faith, and so on and so forth. So, the power of prayer, right? Some of us say it that don't have a religion. Some atheists say it in times of crisis. Some agnostics say it. Christians of all different factions, Catholics, Jewish people, Muslims, people, Buddhists, Hindus, people pray, right? We pray. And in that prayer, we find, hopefully, some peace. We find love. We find understanding. We find a road to something good. I believe God guards you from the roads and the people you shouldn't be on or be around, and guides you toward the places and things and people you should be around. So, I love prayer. And I do it every day. I would say pretty much almost every single day of my life for 35 plus years I've prayed. And including when I was younger. Sometimes I pray all day. A lot of times I have thoughts. I pray to God. So, the power of prayer. That it works. Now, some people stop believing in God, or may stop believing in God, because they ask God for $1 million and it doesn't fall out of the sky when they ask for it. You ask God for $1 million, God might say, okay, I'll give it to you in 5 years. But you got to work to get there. And people want $1 million right now. Well, God's like, you know what? If you start working and you meet me halfway, you're going to get 20,000, then you get 50,000, then you're going to get 52,000, then you can get 60,000, then you can get, I'm going to get you to $1 million, but you're going to make what you're going to make right now. And it's a beautiful thing to not just pray, but to be purposeful in your life. Prayers don't mean any. If you pray to God to find the love of your life, but you never leave your house, what is she going to do? Walk through the wall? If she's not a male person or someone who delivers your food, how are you going to meet her or him? And, so I think you got to do the work. And I remember 2 different things that were told to me growing up. And one of them was there was a man in an ocean and he was drowning. And he's in the middle of the ocean. He's getting tired. He's flapping his arms. And he says, he prays to God and says, I know God will come for me. And this man comes up in a small boat and he throws him a raft. And he says, come, take this raft. I'll save your life. And he said, no, I'm fine. God's going to save me. I pray to God, God's going to come and save me. And the person's like, are you sure? And he said, yes. And he said, okay. So he leaves. Then a bigger boat comes by, right? Bigger boat comes by and throws him down a rope and says, grab onto this rope, hold on to the buoy or whatever, and we'll bring you up. He says, no, God's coming to save me. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. Lets him go. Then a helicopter comes. He's getting really tired at this point. He's kind of just waiting in the water. He's got no more energy in his arms to flap his arms. It's extremely deep. Can't obviously put his feet down anywhere. And can only take so much. And the helicopter comes. And the helicopter calls down to him and says, take this ladder. And throws him this ladder and says, grab onto this ladder. We saw you in the water. We're here to save you. And he said, no. I appreciate it. But I believe that God's coming to save me. So the helicopter leaves. And this person drowns. And they go up to heaven, and they're at the gates of heaven. And there stands God. And God says, what are you doing here? And he said, what do you mean? He said, I trusted in you, and you didn't come to save me. So, I drowned. And God would say, I did come to save you. I sent you a raft. I sent you a buoy attached to the rope. And I sent you a ladder. And you refused me every time. You're not supposed to be here, my son. You asked for me to help you, and I did. God, people think that God is this big booming voice, that you're going to pray, and God, you're going to hear this massive voice or see these giant eyes in the sky go, hello, Daniel. How are you? You know what I mean? Like, that's not how God works. I mean, it's in the Bible that, they're looking for God in all these, big ways, and God is this, tiny, teeny little, whisper in the wind that you have to listen really close to. So I think sometimes God is the big stuff, but, I don't expect money to fall out of the sky. And I would be concerned about that because when it hits the ground, if it's falling from heaven, it's probably going to burst everywhere. So the money's going to go all over the place. So that's not practical. It could hit somebody or fall in a car or something. So that's not practical. If I'm sitting in my living room and I ask God for $1 million and I expect it to come right through my living room to me, it's going to put a hole in my roof. So the irony is, if God did do it that way and gave me $1 million, I don't have $1 million. I have $1 million minus the hole in my roof. So the power of prayer, you have to understand that there's 3 answers to prayer. God says yes, not right now, or no, because I have something better for you. I have something that's better than even what you think. Because sometimes what we think is best is not. If God listened to every prayer that I have and said yes to, I mean, he did listen, but if God said yes to every prayer I asked for, I can only imagine what my life would have looked like and who it would have been around. So prayer is powerful, but don't expect anything to fall out of the sky. Don't expect there to be this loud, booming voice to wake you up in the middle of the night. Don't expect there to be these giant eyes that are looking, down from the sky. Don't anticipate that. Because it's not logical. Prayer is a powerful, beautiful thing. And it's also, in prayer and petition, it comes patience. Comes a heck of a lot of patience. And if you don't know patience, you'll get to know patience. Because, you're going to have no choice. I'm a firm believer that God puts you through a test, and when you don't pass it or you refuse to take it, God continues to give it to you. Because there's been numerous times where God was like, I want you to get past this. I want you to get over this. I don't want you to be afraid of this. And then I didn't. And then he made me take it again and again and again and again and again and again and again until I was like, all right, you know what? I'll take the test. Because we don't evolve as human beings by remaining stagnant. It doesn't even make sense. You can't evolve by not evolving. You can't move forward by standing in cement. If you fix yourself in your ways and say, this is all I'm doing, I'm not ever going to be more or less than this. If you pigeonhole yourself, then, that's on you. God never sees you as just a nurse or just a worker at Chick-fil-A or just a broadcaster or just a coach or just a player or just a flight attendant or just a groundskeeper or just a parent or just a boyfriend or just a girlfriend or just a friend or just a husband or just a wife or just a sibling or just a grandparent or just a lawyer or just a pilot. God sees you for you. God sees the innermost workings of you, knows all your secrets, knows everything about you, and still loves you. Loves you when you're good, loves you when you could be better. And so to me, prayer is powerful. And at the same time, you have to remember that when you are praying, you can't expect kind of crazy circumstances to happen. Oh, I asked God for a Mustang and it just showed up in my driveway. What would that teach you? It wouldn't teach you the value of hard work. It wouldn't teach you being dedicated. It wouldn't teach you having goals. It wouldn't teach you saving money. It wouldn't teach you anything. If I said, I want a Mustang, and I blink my eyes and I go upstairs and there's a Mustang, what did I do? I did nothing. I did not earn that Mustang. I didn't work toward it. I didn't save toward it. I didn't learn the value of sacrifice, dedication, determination, setting goals, achieving goals. There's no value. I might like that it's in my driveway, but there's no feeling like that I deserve that. Nobody gave me my studio. Nobody gave me my office. Nobody gave me my LLC. Nobody gave me my business. Nobody gave me the companies I work with. Nobody gave me the listeners I had. Nobody gave me the friendships that I've created. Nobody gave me the over 2,000 guests on my show. Could someone say, hey, you know what, I'll call such and such, we'll make this happen? Yeah, but 99.9% of it is just working through it. Just trying to figure it out, And yeah, people help you along the way, but where do those people come from? You reached out to them at some point, right? You connected with them at some point. Something that God did in your life brought your path to their path and you crossed. So, there's no value to saying, I want this, and then you get it because you didn't work toward it. God, I want a wife. So you're just going to meet somebody tomorrow and get married and know nothing about her because she showed up at your doorstep and said, God sent me to be your wife? I'd be like, okay, I want to know about you a little bit before I do anything. So, I think prayer is very, very powerful, but we have to be very realistic with prayer that miracles do happen and beautiful things do happen, but God typically involves us in our prayer, praying for it and not just saying, well, God knows what I want. Being thankful, meaning what we say and saying what we mean, working toward it, trying. If you told God that you want to adopt a child and you didn't put your name in to adopt and you did no research or anything, how are you going to do that? You can't say, I want to get my driver's license and just blink your eyes and here it is, ding, and it's just like you have your hand down, it's like, I want my driver's license, and it's one of those commercials where it's like, ding, and you just see the driver's license appear in somebody's hand. You got to go take the driver's test. You have to take the test in order to get what you want. That's what I'm saying. God gives you tests that you have to take in order to get to the next level, to go where you want to go. So many people would, I'm sure, love to work for themselves. I work more for myself than any boss ever asked me to do. It's not that I never worked hard. I did work hard, but they didn't ask me to. Or they asked me to go here. They didn't ask me to go here. None of my bosses combined in the broadcasting world and radio and all that stuff, they did not command out of me more than I command out of myself. I don't have to be 5 days a week. I don't have to be 2 hours a day. I don't have to go out and find all these businesses and work to partner with them. I don't have to build up all this stuff. There's broadcasters out there that don't sell their own show, talk about their own show. They don't promote their own show. They leave it up to the social media people to do it. They leave it up to the interns to do it, the account executives to sell their show. They don't even go meet these people. They just get money. Hey, give me money. And again, where's the value in that? Where's the value in the relationship? I don't want somebody going out on my behalf and saying, Dan Tortora is a great person and he's great to work with. Here, sign this contract. Because if I was that person, I would say, if he's so great, I want to meet him. I want to know him. If somebody said to you, I got a great girl for you, you're going to marry her, you're never going to date her, I'm just going to send her to you, and you're just going to marry her, and that's it. You don't, that's asinine. That's crazy. You got to take the test. You got to put the work in. You go to a place to get your oil changed and they do nothing and tell you your oil's done. Do you believe them? You know what I mean? It's like you have to do the work in order for it to come through. You're thinking, oh, I got to drive over there to get my oil changed. But you don't have to change it. There's somebody there. You know what I mean? It's not like God doesn't send you angels. It's not like God doesn't send you aid and the moves in your life to get there. And prayer is a part of it, sending up that prayer, but it's also being thankful is a part of it, being mindful of your blessings and being thankful for those blessings, and then going out and living your life and working towards something. How horrible and boring and just uneventful would life be if you just, and there are people that sit at home. And we live in a world today where you can sit at home and make more money than going to work. I could never do that because I don't want free money. Like, I could never do it because because somebody's paying for that somewhere. It's free money for you, but someone somewhere is eating that cost because money just doesn't grow on trees like people say. It doesn't, and if all money is a piece of paper, then it's worthless. So, for me, I could never, if I was willing and able to, like if I was totally capable of working, it's not like I was injured or it's not like I had some type of disability or something that I have to work through or whatever that would make it difficult for me to do a certain thing. I remember when I got injured on the job and I was on crutches, like it wouldn't have been easy for me to do any job standing because it's just constant, like under my arms, that like, just that feeling, and your arms get like sore, and then you got to kind of just move around everywhere, and you're always leaning on something, and you can't stand up straight, and that stuff is with you, and the apparatus isn't electronic. You have to make those crutches work, so you're constant. It's great for an upper body workout, but it's not fun overall. And I think that people get lost sometimes in this. Just stay at home and do nothing. I could never do that because I would feel like I was stealing because I want to earn it. I want to earn it. So it's not like I go somewhere to order a cheeseburger and they don't give me the cheeseburger and they say, but you had it. No, I didn't. Like you want to earn it. I mean, yeah, that when there's different plans that help out small businesses and different things, I'm not talking about that. Like that was very helpful because we're still working and we're trying to continue working and that helped us out. I'm talking about people that are totally fine, totally healthy, have the wherewithal to go out there and get a job and know exactly what they're doing and just decide not to. That's hard for me because, life is not meant to be just handed to you. You're supposed to learn. And there's always a catch. Somebody walks up to you in an alleyway and handed you $300. Maybe it's a good Samaritan. Or maybe they're going to call you someday and they hand you a burner phone and say, hey, here's $300. One day I'm going to call you on this phone. I'm going to ask you to do something and you got to do it. And that ain't God. That's the devil. So prayer is powerful, but you can't sit on your butt and do nothing after you pray, before you pray, while you're praying. You have to be willing to put in your side. And I believe that prayer is powerful. I believe it's game-changing. I believe that it works because it's worked. My prayers have worked in so many ways in my life, in other people's lives that I care about, professionally and personally for me. And so, the best way for me to conclude this edition of Lead on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero, on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York, is to say a prayer, to speak on the power of prayer for Jim Sikowski, the owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero. So, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. God, please watch over Jimmer. Watch over his loved ones. Watch over everybody whose life he has touched. Please cure him completely and for good, and no matter what, through you, from ALS and anything else that may be ailing him, anything, corona, anything, literally anything, a stubbed toe, a hangnail, a headache, heartache, anything, being tired, a loved one being sick or passing away or whatever that may be. Please, Lord, be with Jimmer and all of his loved ones, his 3 children, his wonderful wife, his friends, his colleagues, his family in general. I only want Jimmer to be healthy and safe and happy and filled with all of your most precious gifts, to do your will and be well. And may today, tonight, and so on, whether we're traveling, staying put, or both, be safe and sound and be long and fun and go by slowly in the most beautiful of ways. Please help us to heal, Lord, completely and for good, and no matter what, through you, and handle well whatever comes our way. And may we all be safe and sound and together with our loved ones, even in death, because as it's been said with Jesus, dying you destroyed our death, rising you restored our life. So I just pray that you give Jimmer nothing but life, and God willing, you help there to be a cure for ALS. And first and foremost, that it slows down. Secondly, that it doesn't take any more lives, including Jimmer's, and that you help us to find the cure, guide our hands, help us to focus on the things that matter. May science be used for good, and may Jimmer heal completely and for good. And no matter what, may Jimmer heal through you and handle well whatever comes his way. And, the same goes for all his loved ones and anybody dealing with ALS or anyone anywhere. So I send my prayers and my love and support to every soul out there. Man, woman, child, plant, animal, whatever it may be. I send you my love. Even the octopus that like to punch fish, I send you my love as well. Please behave. So maybe that's what I do. Maybe before every fast break, before we cut to a fast break, I just mention octopus punching fish in the face, because I've done that after the first 2 segments we've had. So this has been Lead, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York. I want to thank Lead, and I want to thank Chick-fil-A Cicero and all the wonderful people there, led by Jim Sikowski. My prayers are with you, brother. I love you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Truly praying the best for you and your loved ones, and for everybody out there that needs a special prayer today. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around, we will be here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with our top dog of the week, which is Mr. Andrew Smith, being honored after his 200th career victory and at Marywood University with the women's soccer team as the head coach. Started the program in 1998, left for a couple of years, came back, and has been there ever since, and has done a truly incredible job, remarkable job of putting Marywood women's soccer on the map. So you'll hear from him as he has announced as our top dog of the week, and a fantastic conversation is about to ensue here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacted the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and on Fridays, we bring you our trio of special signature segments. The Annoying Moment of the Week, presented by Carvel DeWitt. LEAD, which stands for Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero. And, of course, the Top Dog of the Week is announced, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding here in Central New York. So, with that being said, my Top Dog of the Week this week proudly goes to a coach that I knew when I was going to school there, after I finished up there and lived and worked in the community at ESPN Radio, and beyond that, after all these years, one of the coaches that has become synonymous with Marywood and has truly found a lot of success there, which means a lot to me to be able to still see him there, is Andrew Smith, the Marywood Pacers women's soccer head coach, as we are announcing him as our top dog of the week this week. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm well, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and Andrew, I want to start there. I mean, you were there when I was there. You were there, obviously, when I came back to work there a few months after graduating to work in the Scranton area. You've continued to be there with the team. What's kept you at Marywood?
Honestly, the people. It's just a great community and family feel, and every recruit that walks in my office and their parents have that same comment. They say, everyone is so welcoming and everyone's smiling and helpful. And I say, yeah, and that's not just today when you're here. It's every day is like that. It's a team. It's a team all through campus, not just in the athletic department. So it's been a pleasure to be there that long. You might know or not know. I mean, I started the women's soccer program in 1998 on a part-time basis, and in the very first season. And I was there for 5 years part-time and never really wanted to leave, but there was just never any full-time opportunities coming up at the time. And then I left for 2 years. I went down to Southern Virginia by Virginia Tech to run a soccer organization there, but I wasn't coaching. I was more administrative. So I was always looking to get back into college coaching, even when I left. And about 2 years later, a year and a half later, my boss at the time, Mary Jo Gunning, called me and said, hey, our sports information director is leaving. Do you want to come back and be full-time and coach? And I said, absolutely, because I never really wanted to leave in the first place. So I kind of say I built that program twice, because I started it originally and then I left it, and I came back. I kind of had to rebuild it from the 2 years that I was gone.
Yeah, and for you, building the program from the ground up, being the person to bring in, women's soccer to Marywood University, going back to 1998, why did you do it? What pushed you to do it? Where was the passion to do something like that? Because there's only one coach at every school in the history of time that can say, I started this. I brought this here. That my
Right.
stamp is on this. I blood, sweat, and tears built this thing from the ground up. Why do it at Marywood? And what made you feel like you wanted to have that program, the women's soccer program at Marywood University?
Yeah, I kind of, in a way, lucked into it. I guess there was a lot of different factors that went into it, but I was actually at King's, not as a grad assistant, but as a paid assistant coach for both the men's and women's program at the time. And I was a political science major in college. And I had decided by my junior year that I didn't want to go to law school or be a politician. So I got into coaching local high school teams through my college coach at the time, and really found a passion for it and started doing the Keystone State summer games with him, some club stuff, and really started finding a passion for it. Said, this might be what I want to do for a living. And I stayed on at King's after I graduated for a year and helped out both the men's and women's teams. And then at the time, one of our director of residence life at King's had just became the dean of students at Marywood. And he emailed me and he said, hey, we're starting a women's soccer program here. And then I also had a little weird connection too, where Mary Jo, the athletic director, she was actually the married into aunt of my college roommate. So she was familiar with me already a little bit too. And there was partial luck too that it was a part-time position. There probably wasn't much competition at the time for the job. But all those things factored in, and I knew this is what I wanted to do for a living. I said, this could really be good for my resume of starting a program from scratch, building it up, and then, in a couple of years I'll move on. And I did, but then I ended up coming back anyway because of just the connection I feel at Marywood in the area. And so even though I'm from Ithaca, New York originally, I spent more than half my life now here in the Northeast PA area.
Speaking here with Andrew Smith, honoring him as our top dog of the week this week, following his 200th career victory as a head coach. And for you, women's soccer, why, like you said, you wanted to be a part of this program. You took it over part-time, created this thing. And like you said in the beginning with creating a program, obviously there's not a lot of people applying for the job because it didn't exist. But for you, why women's soccer? What makes you love, the sport of soccer first and foremost, and love coaching up women? Because I know that, you've been extremely successful with it, and I've gotten to see that firsthand.
Yeah, I grew up a dual sport athlete in baseball and soccer, and actually played fall ball at Bonaventure my freshman year, baseball, and and then transferred out of the school. Just it wasn't the right setting for me. And when I went to Kings, when I transferred in, I kind of focused on soccer, from there. But women's soccer to me, as a coach, is I still like the coaching aspect of doing my job, not just managing kids or recruiting kids and stuff like that. But in women's soccer, it seems there's not as much of an ego trip in terms of what a kid thinks they can do or can't do. And honestly, recruiting wise, it makes it easier because a lot of the female athletes have their head on right, so to speak, and they prioritize academics over athletics. And that's where the Division III fit is great, because they're not just looking for the top program. They know there's some Division III programs that can beat Division I programs. So they're looking at the academics, and that's another good draw for Marywood. With our top academic programs, they tend to find female athletes. All the health sciences, the architectures, the speech pathologies. So it works really well with women's sports there, recruiting wise. But the players themselves, they still want to learn the game, and they ask questions. How can I get better? What do I need to do here in this situation? So I still get to actually coach the sport and teach them, not just manage them as players. So that's what I really like about the women's game, is because they don't pretend to know all, and they want to learn and they want to get better.
Do you feel? In this country, I think it's strange for people to hear this that don't know it, but there's no team in the world when it comes to women's national teams that has won more World Cups than the United States of America. And when you look at that history and the competitiveness and just how great, and again, this team winning more than anybody else, any other country in the world, and at the same time there's other opportunities that they were in the championship and didn't win but still advanced to it. Where is women's soccer in America, in your opinion? There is a league, and there is a professional league. There is, obviously the women's national team. But I hear, every 4 years, there's the World Cup conversation of, well, how are the men going to do? Are the men any good? Are the men going to make it? And then here's the women, like number one, number two, top of their group, making it through. Just speak with me on. Does it frustrate you as someone who loves the sport and who coaches women to hear so many people worry about, are the men going to make it? And then here are the women who are, very
dominating.
And respected by the world, respected by Germany, France, Brazil. You name it. These women are good.
Yeah, if you follow the sport closely, both on the men's and women's side, the big thing right now is the talent gap between the United States women and the rest of the world women is getting smaller and smaller, and the games are getting more and more competitive, and it's going to be harder in the coming years for us to continue that dominance on the women's side. And that's because all these other countries, their soccer organizations, have sunk a lot of money into developing the women's game and the women's pro leagues, which are a little bit stronger over in England or Germany, or even in Brazil than they might be here with the NWSL. Whereas on the men's here, all of our money is being sunk into the men's pro leagues and the men's development, and it just hasn't paid off. Obviously here, soccer is not the top sport. It might be fourth or fifth, but it is frustrating because, if they spent that money or an equal amount of money into the women's game, we could maintain that. The men have always been known for producing top-level goalkeepers all across the world. You think Tim Howard, Brad Friedel, all those keepers that played professionally in the highest divisions in England. We've always produced top-level goalkeepers. It's the rest of the talent that struggles. But the money from U.S. soccer is still put into the men's game. And that's where it can be frustrating because the women don't have the resources. Even with Title IX, they still don't have the resources, and that's why you see the big fight for equal pay now. And when the women are performing and the men aren't, but the men are getting paid 3 times as much, so it can be frustrating. But and eventually, if the United States does not keep financing properly the women's game here, either in the pro league or with the national team, eventually we're not going to be the top dog anymore because these other countries are going to pass us by.
Why do you think that, in the NWSL and whatnot, I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you don't watch the women's league, your favorite players that are representing America on the women's national team, I'm like, you realize that you can go watch them for next to nothing in the NWSL. Yep. Why do you think there's such a disconnect, and why is there such a lack of support? There's people in America that have no idea there's even a national opportunity, like a professional opportunity for women here.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to money, I think, and promoting stuff. For U.S. Soccer, they help, with the MLS on the men's side. The women had a WUSA Pro League for a couple of years that was financed pretty well, but then it went under. It's all private investment as opposed to U.S. Soccer investment, whereas the MLS owners have the backup of U.S. Soccer. So, it's something that, again, even now you're seeing some of our better national team players sign contracts over in France or England, and to play over there, which is actually the off season of the NWSL here, but they're signing it there because that's where the money is. Yeah. For individual salaries. So they're not sinking into salaries with the NWSL. That's the hope. Hopefully they do that because it is. It's been a dominating sport for a long time in the United States, but people really only get excited about it or talk about it those every 4 years, with the World Cup or maybe with the Olympics every now and then. But that's the push. That's where people get excited about. We need them to be excited year round, every year, not just every 4 years.
That coming here from Andrew Smith, University Pacers women's soccer head coach, being honored as the top dog of the week. You got to play 3 games in this 2020, whatever we could call a 2020 season, 2020, 2021. It kind of went into. You played these games in April. What can you say about going through the pandemic as a coach? What did you learn? And what does it mean to you that you actually got to at least get on the field for a few games?
Yeah, it was great for the spring. We knew we were going to be limited to 3 games just because of field availability for practices. And it was tough to find people to play because a lot of people were only playing conference only. So we couldn't play Scranton, Kings, Wilkes, Misericordia, which are right in the area. Because they were either playing Landmark only or Mid-Atlantic Conference only or whatever. So we were fortunate where we got a home and home with Immaculata. It was a little bit different because, normally our players they've been sitting for almost a year and a half. Our fall season was very limited. We had pod practices of small groups without full field contact or running. So fitness was a big thing. And then obviously with Scranton Winters, it's hard to get in shape for a spring competitive season when you're stuck to a treadmill or the indoor track. You can't get that full field playing in. So, the fitness improved throughout the spring as we got outside more and as we played more. But that was a big thing, especially for our freshmen adjusting to the college level game. That was a big adjustment for them. But there's 3, and I kind of treated the first one like a scrimmage and played a lot of people, even though it counted, and that might have cost us that game. The next 2 games we kind of solidified lineups, and we had some nice step ups from freshmen, and we had some good returners from good performance from our returners. So it was just to get a good in, and really just to send the seniors off with something actually competitive, not just a inter-squad scrimmage or something like that.
What did you learn from all this as a head coach? What did you take away from the fact that the game was taken from you and taken from your coaches and taken from your players without any control whatsoever?
Yeah, one of the things I always preach to my prospects when I'm looking is school for, and this was pre-pandemic, I would say you choose a school for academics for with soccer. And what I meant by that was saying, hey, there's career-ending injuries, there's stuff like that you really need to be able to see yourself at the school for 4 or 5 years with or without the sport. And then now I use the example like, listen, not only season career-ending injuries, there's pandemics now, that can shut down a sport. There are some bonuses to it, in terms of just the way you recruit and stuff. Adding in, we never did Zoom meetings before or whatever the case may be. Our talent level of recruits this year, I have 15 commits for next year, and we still have a couple more that might be coming. That's the largest class that I'm bringing in, but it's, mainly because they weren't getting looked at by Division I and II schools that were restricted in terms of going out and recruiting. So that helped us actually, in terms of bringing in a high quality class. So, there's, mostly negatives, but there were a few positives you pick up that you'll keep. I'll keep doing Zoom meetings over the summer with my team, which I never would have done in the past, or, recruiting wise, I can recruit in Texas by watching video, which I was never able to before. Now they have all these tournaments have video cameras up, and you can watch games and recruit kids from areas you normally wouldn't have been able to by just your normal budget. So, you pick up those kind of positives, and hopefully those things stick around. But you still want to get back to as normal as possible as well.
And you talk about this side of recruiting, being more creative. Having virtual tours and being able to, interact with people. When it causes you as a coach to look at more film, where it could affect somebody in a negative way, because you have the time and because you're not playing the games, you can sit and watch film and see these players in maybe a nook or a cranny that you wouldn't look before because you're at home and going stir crazy and whatnot. So how, as a coach, has it challenged you in recruiting, and how has it maybe made you a better recruiter?
Yeah, I think it has been in terms of, just exactly what you're looking for. You can be a lot more specific, and you'll have like normally if I'm recruiting a kid, I might be able to see them play 2 or 3 times, maybe if I'm lucky 4 or 5 times. And, you're evaluating, but sometimes you go to those big tournaments and you're stuck between 4 different fields, and you're spinning around watching one game here, one game there, one kid here, one kid there. So you might see some good stuff, you might miss some good stuff, or you might only see some bad stuff and miss the good stuff. So, but as where you're watching video, you can focus on that single kid the entire time. Which again, like you said, for that kid, that could be good or bad. You might pick some stuff up, but you might also see some stuff that all right, maybe she can't compete at this level, but that also helps us in terms of narrowing down and getting more specific, which means our recruiting class is going to be that much more talented if we're just not accepting anyone, kind of deal.
So for you, as you go through this recruitment and whatnot, you've had success at Marywood. Your team has done an incredible job and achieved feats over the years as you've been there. So I can imagine, obviously, that helps in recruiting. What can you say about it? When you go to recruit and you're typically going on the road and you're going out to games, how are you received? Do people know the name? Do they know you? Do they know the program? How do you feel Marywood precedes you and, what you've worked to do? What can you say about the reputation of Marywood when you are recruiting?
Yeah, I think the big sell for us is that the players that we recruit and their families, they know the kids are going to be challenged soccer-wise. It took me 21 years to get 200 wins, which, it's probably averaging about 10 wins a season, basically, which is pretty good. But, I could have got there a lot faster if we scheduled cake teams non-conference, and teams that we could have beat 5-6-0 easily. We don't do that. I played every single year, starting since about 2005. Our whole non-conference schedule is filled with regional regional and nationally ranked teams, like, and sometimes we come out of non-conference at 1-5 or 2-3 or 0-6. So they know they're going to be challenged, and I'm not just after looking at, I mean, obviously we want to win, but I also want them to get better and compete. And my whole thing is always like, listen, we could go play teams who are going to beat 5 or 6-0, but then when we win the conference, it's not going to be as easy because the conference teams will be better. And when we go to the NCAA tournament, we'll just get killed because, we've never seen teams like that before. Whereas now, play a tough non-conference schedule, those conference games seem easier. Then if we win the conference and go to the NCAA tournament, we've already seen that level of competition. So we know what to expect. So I think that's kind of the reputation of our program. They know they're going to get a good academic experience. A lot of times they do know the name, although I still will get people that will see an M and be like, "Ooh, Maryland or Michigan?" And I'm like, "No, we're green. Sorry." But I mean, it's allowed me. I mean, I get kids from New York. I get Central New York to Long Island to Maryland, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I mean, Florida now, Canada now. But it's a lot of mixed things. I think first and foremost, it's the academic reputation of Marywood in a lot of majors that I recruit. But then also soccer as well. Once you get there, half of my recruits I find, and the other half find us. They're already looking at Marywood for some reason. But when I go to a tournament, I might see a kid and be like, "Oh, they're a nursing major. They're interested in nursing, or they're interested in architecture. Let me reach out to them." So it's probably 50-50 in terms of who finds us and how, or if I find them or not.
And I think that's great, and it's a testament to Marywood and a testament to your work ethic and what you're going after. You made a statement about kind of all of this as you're talking about people that have come in and how you recruit and whatnot. You made a few statements here, and one of them being the fact of that you come out and you talked about being from Ithaca. You recruit Central New York. Central and Upstate New York's my hometown, and I know that you know it well. What can you tell me about the talent that you have been able to find in Central and Upstate New York?
Well, let me tell you this, Dan. When I started in my first 5 or 6 years, well, actually about the first 5 years, I really tried to focus on Pennsylvania kids. And what I found was that, I was losing the A student and the B+/A athlete. I was losing those recruits to D2 PSAC schools over, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 because they had athletic scholarship money. So when I came back, I changed my entire recruiting focus and said, instead of me going after the top Pennsylvania kids, I said, let me start going after New York kids. And the reason for that was, sometimes a kid from Syracuse, for example, if they're going to go to Ithaca, it's an hour and a half away, 2 hours away, right? It's 2 hours to Scranton, same difference. Yeah. But Ithaca College is $60,000 or $70,000. We're 40, 45, 50,000. So all of a sudden, same distance, but all of a sudden we're the cheaper option. So I started recruiting against all these top tier Division III programs in New York, where I thought, maybe I could sneak this kid into Pennsylvania and get them interested in here because we're only 45 minutes south of the border. And we become the cheaper option, which is rare for a private, expensive school. So, I started recruiting against the Liberty League schools, the Empire 8s at the time, stuff like that. And it worked. It really did. So I found a niche in that of pulling kids from upstate New York, Central New York, Southern Tier New York, down to Marywood. And obviously I had a familiarity with the soccer in the area because I had played in the IAC at Trumansburg outside of Ithaca, and stuff like that. And I knew the Stack conference well. I knew a lot of the Syracuse schools well, and all the way up past there to Oswego and a couple other places. So I knew the competition level was good enough to help us win conference championships if I recruited out of those areas.
And I know coaches here, and I know coaches in the soccer world definitely appreciate this, and coaches that I know now love hearing this information and the fact that you have that connection. You talked about not playing cupcake teams, saying, hey, we could pad our schedule, but it's not going to do us any good. I appreciate and respect coaches that play games that they feel like, hey, obviously you don't go into a game thinking you're going to lose, but knowing that, hey, these are teams we would see in the NCAA tournament. These are teams that we're going to see at the end of the road. And so even if we lose to them, we have film on them. We know where we could get better. We know where we stand for that competition. We know where our level's at and where we need to work to get to. How important is that for you as a coach to play the games that you could lose 7-2 as opposed to playing the games that you're going to win 9-0?
Yeah, I just always felt that, like sometimes we have a pretty talented roster in terms of, we could be 20, 22 deep. And sometimes I would go play a team and, we'd win 6-7-0. I think to myself, man, we should have just stayed home and practiced. We would have gotten more out of it, And, but then, we go play these tough teams. And the only hard part with that is, I don't mind losing to them. I'd rather lose somebody 3-1 than beat them 8-0 because I think you're going to learn more. The tough part is the mental aspect of losing, and telling the players, listen, it's going to be okay once we get to conference. You have to keep them motivated and, them not just thinking, this is going to be a rough year, and stuff like that. But the whole point of it was, listen, if we can hang with the University of Strand or somebody like that that's regionally or nationally ranked, and we can limit them to 1 or 2 goals, and they have 3 good forwards and 3 good midfielders and 4 good defenders and a really good keeper, but we lost 2-1, so that means we scored against them. My whole thought process is when we get to conference play, you're not going to see 4 good defenders or 3 good forwards. You're going to have to worry about 1 good forward or 1 good midfielder, and stuff like that, or sometimes just a really good keeper. But you can get through the defense easily. So I always thought, if we challenge ourselves and we can compete or hold these people, then we're going to be fine in conference. It's going to be because our conference teams don't have 11 standout starters like these teams have that we play. So the whole thing is to say, challenge yourselves in non-conference so that the conference becomes easier to compete against. Just as the old saying goes, you practice hard so the games become easier.
Yeah, that coming from Andrew Smith here, Marywood University Pacers women's soccer head coach, and celebrating his 200th career victory and celebrating the fact that he started the program back in 1998 and then it came back to take it over again and lead it all the way through to now. Andrew, before I let you go, your 200th victory, like we talked about, you play 3 games this season that count this past season, and your 200th victory is the last game that you had. So, it's a beautiful thing about you play 3 games, but the last game of the season, you get your 200th victory. It's momentum. It's the last time you're on the field. You got to do it in Scranton, at home, at Marywood. So you're at home, you're in Scranton, you're winning 200. It's the end of the season. It's the last moment you had on the field as you get set for the upcoming fall season. So what can you tell me about Win 200 and just what it meant to you to, do it literally at the end of the season to say, hey, this is something I got to build off of for the 2021 season?
Right. First, I guess I should probably. They agreed to the game, and they didn't know that was.
Oh, you cut out for a second. What did you say?
I probably would have had to wait till September because I would have. And I would have been at 199.
Andrew, can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
You cut. No, it's okay. You cut out for a second. Yeah, you cut out for a second. So just if you can say that again, because I missed what you said about the team.
Lose them.
Oh yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you there? Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I was saying if you can just go from the beginning of answering that question because we lost you for a second.
Yeah, no, I said, I think, there's you first I should thank Cairn University for playing because otherwise I would have been stuck at 199 until September, because they didn't have to play us. So, and they wanted to get a game and not knowing that it would have been my 200th. But, as it went on, it was actually a competitive game. They were an NCAA tournament team out of our old conference, the Colonial States Athletic Conference. So it was competitive for a little while, and then we kind of just broke them down, and and took it there. And when it got to be 2-0, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this win. And it's a nice accomplishment, but it was also a relief to get it over with. And just kind of not that it would have been something on a piggy on my back, so to speak, or whatever, but it was still nice to get it. And the players, it was nice to be congratulated by them. And obviously, you're not getting those without them or the alumni, even the ones that went through the struggling years. I got texts from alumni afterwards congratulating me, and some of them were saying, "Hey, I guess we didn't help with that because we were 2-10 or whatever." I said, "No, you did because you had 2 of them," and stuff like that. So, but it was nice to hear from them, and then just get some texts from colleagues and and everything like that. I'm not huge into. I didn't even tell anyone about it. Our men's soccer coach found out and told my players. Otherwise they probably wouldn't even have known it would have been the 200th win. So, it's good, and you've been there a long time, so it's good to be recognized for it. But again, you can't do it without the players, so that's the important thing.
Third all time in the history of any Marywood athletic program. We look at Marywood softball with Bob Fitzsimmons, 286 career wins from 2009 to 2018. Tara Machako from 2004 to 2018. Women's basketball, 206. And now your 200 sits third all time, which puts Marywood soccer in the top 3 and puts you in the top 3 in Marywood history. What does that mean to you to be, the third most winningest coach in the history of Marywood University?
Yeah, it's positive. I mean, it's a good thing. It just means we have an established program that's competitive. I'm not sure I'll ever catch Bob. I'm not sure I have 10 more years of coaching left in me, which will take that. But obviously, softball can play on a normal year, plays 40 games, and basketball 25 a year plus playoffs, whereas we're at about 20 games a year. So it took me a little bit longer than those guys, but to get there. But obviously with less games each year, it's harder to get to that level. So I think it just shows the longevity of the program and that we've been competitive for that long, because there's a lot of coaches or a lot of teams that have been around even longer and aren't at 200 wins. So it's a good milestone to hit. If I get to 250 or 287 to beat Bob, I don't know, or 300 or whatever, but only time will tell that. But don't plan on being anywhere, so maybe I'll try for it.
and final note with Andrew Smith here, being honored as our top dog of the week, presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding here of East Syracuse, New York. Final piece is the reality of a hopeful 2021 season. 17 games that count toward the record, 3 exhibition games, so 20, like you said, altogether. What can you tell me about the hopes of 2021 and the schedule you have coming up, and just, what your thoughts are on getting back to some normalcy in your sport?
Yeah, I really hope, with the increase in vaccinations, I hope everything will be back to normal. We don't have to worry about a shutdown week here or there if somebody tests positive, or or another team not being able to come play because of it. So the plan is to be normal, and go from there. It's a tough non-conference schedule, but it should prepare us. We have, like I said, I'm really happy with my incoming recruiting class. It's really, really talented, and we have. We lose one starter who is very hard to replace at center back, but we should be very, very competitive even against those top regional teams in the area. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a large group coming in, but it's one you can build around for 4 years. I expect us to be competitive in the conference, which is always a tough conference. And there's no cake games, so everything's 2-0 or 2-1 or 1-0 or. So every game's a challenge, but that keeps us on our toes in practices and year round, which is good. There's no roller coaster like easy win, then tough game, easy win, then tough game. It's just straight through tough competition. So hopefully we can get them all in and get ready to start up in mid-August.
Coming from Andrew Smith, celebrating his 200th career victory and putting himself in the top 3 in Marywood history, and obviously the winningest coach for Marywood women's soccer, because they've pretty much only known Andrew Smith. Built the program in 1998 and has been with it almost all the way through. So, Andrew, I appreciate it. Like I said, honoring you as my top dog of the week this week is an understatement. So thank you for what you've done for Marywood University. Thank you for what you've done to stay in contact with me, and it means the world to me that I could support my university and that you guys support me right back. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Appreciate your support and look forward to talking again in the future.
All right, take care. Have a good day.
You too, Dad. Thanks.
Thanks. Once again, that being our top dog of the week, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding. Top dog of the week coming to you every single Friday right around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, brought to you by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding. Make sure you make your way out to both. They are right around the corner from one another. You can go to K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. Obviously, is daycare for your dog. There's also grooming there, washing your dog, as well as buying different things that you need. There's leashes, there's harnesses, there are collars and dog food and so much there. You can get to them by calling 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110. They're located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. That's 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. You can find out more by going to the letter K-9 Kamp.com. K-9 Kamp.com for K-9 Kamp Dog Boarding. So make sure you do that. K-9 Kampground is K-9 Kamp ground.com. That's K-9 Kamp ground.com. And you could call them at 315-299-4013 for safety first with a personal touch for your dogs staying overnight. And, to go one step further than the daycare, if you need your dog to stay somewhere for a week or a couple days or a weekend or whatever it may be, 315-299-4013, including for the holidays when you're traveling. So, and you could get to the campground by going to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, right around the corner from K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. So, once again, our proud top dog of the week, Andrew Smith. Very happy to be able to honor him from my alma mater, Marywood University, as he got his 200th victory as a head coach. A big, big thanks to him for all that he's done for Marywood and all he continues to do to stay connected with the show and for spending some time with us here today. We'll take our final step aside of the broadcast and wrap up this week of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right now within this fast break inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
Avicoli's Restaurant, located right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, is proud to be your local neighbor, growing with you for over 20 years. We're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. For takeout, delivery, or catering, call us at 315-622-5100. When you order online and use our promo code AVS10, you will save 10% on your online purchase at myavicolis.com. And make sure to join us monthly for our live on-site broadcasts centered around Liverpool athletics. Avicoli's, your local, trusted neighbor right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to K-9 Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see K-9 Kampground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call K-9 Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9 Kampgroud.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and Kampgroud spelled with a K.com. K9 Kampgroud.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K-9 Campground.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Head out there Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. They are closed on Mondays. The Millhouse Market has their own app, which you could download on the Google Play or Apple App Store, that makes everything user-friendly. Their entire menu is there, from their homemade breads to salads, desserts, quinoa bowls, rice bowls, specialty brick oven pizzas, as well as the traditional brick oven pizzas, and over 30 different sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. All of the ingredients are right there for you. You can click on any of the sandwiches, anything on there, any of the quinoa bowls, the pizzas, and see everything that goes on there. It is a very user-friendly app that gives you all the information. The hardest thing about the app is picking amongst all the great things that they have to offer. That's the toughest thing, is trying to narrow it down. And sometimes you can't. You got to order two, and that's just how it is. The Millhouse Market, 3 different ways to connect with us, from their drive-thru that's open Tuesday through Sunday to their general store that's open inside Tuesday through Sunday with local products from local companies, and for their restaurant and bistro on the weekends that's open there all throughout the week. Tuesday through Sunday, you could go in for breakfast and lunch and eat in the restaurant inside, and then the bistro specialty menu comes to us on the weekends. So many different ways to enjoy the Millhouse Market. They are absolutely positively, for their guest service, for their care, for the community, and for their relentless drive to make it through everything that we've all been through over this past year plus, and everything in general. So much about the Millhouse Market just screams Central and Upstate New York love, passion, community. They are worth the drive every time because they care about you, and they're one of those places that I'm so proud to bring people to when they come in and they say, Dan, I want something authentic. I want something real to Central and Upstate New York. And because of Rebecca Elford and her incredible creative mind, there's so much unique at the Millhouse Market that it's a must stop for those coming into town, and it's a must continue to go to for those of you that are here in our community to go back every single week. So Millhouse Market, 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every time. With that being stated, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out here with you. We had our trio of specialty segments today. I want to thank Carvel DeWitt for the Annoying Moment of the Week, with plenty of scoops of the Annoying Moment of the Week for you today, as well as a lead speaking on the power of prayer and understanding what prayer is and what it's not. You don't have a bag of money just drop from the sky, but prayer has to be coupled with thanksgiving, as well as you doing your part and doing the best you can to meet God halfway. So, God could go the whole way for us, But then what's the point in creating us if God could do it all? Why give us free will if he just did it all? So it's not that he can't. It's that I feel like we are here for a purpose, and that purpose is to not sit and snap our fingers and have a car in our driveway, but to actually work toward that car. He'll help you get it, but you got to be willing to do something to, make it rewarding. Do something toward it. I would think that a good parent doesn't just give their kids stuff like, oh yeah, you want an allowance for doing nothing? Like here's $100 for sitting and playing video games. No, my parents said, if you want $10, go mow a lawn. We'll give you $10 for every lawn you mow, but you're going to learn the value of $1, and you're going to learn the value of hard work. And now I own my own business, so it's got to say something that working for it and working toward it. That's if a parent would do that, then I would imagine that God is here listening to all of our prayers and is going to help us get there. Well, we have to be willing to put something in, understand the value of hard work. So that coming from Chick-fil-A Cicero in lead every single Friday. And of course, the top dog of the week, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding, where I got to honor and have an extensive conversation with Andrew Smith from my alma mater, who just had his 200th career victory to end the most recent soccer season. And so that is what he has to build off of as he starts the 2021 season with a hopeful 17 games, hopefully the playoffs as well, and 3 exhibition games. Andrew Smith getting to 200 wins, making him, when it comes to Marywood women's soccer, he started the program in 1998, and he has been with it pretty much almost the entire time outside of a few years. So he is synonymous with Marywood soccer, which makes sense that he's the winningest coach in Marywood soccer history. He's also in the top 3 winningest coaches in the history of Marywood athletics amongst all sports, behind just a couple people, and with his 200 victories, putting him in the 200 club and making him 3rd all time amongst all Marywood athletics, and obviously top in women's soccer. So a big shout out and a congratulations to Andrew Smith, and for everything we got to talk about today, the importance of women's sports and women's soccer and everything else in Marywood University and recruiting and the pandemic and building through that all, and him celebrating his 200th victory. So what an incredible conversation to have here on Wake Up Call and in our timeless capsule that you could go and find by searching on Wake Up Call's many places that you could get our show. You search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and you will find our archive on Stitcher, TuneIn, the RSS feed, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, and iTunes and Apple Podcasts. Of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Before it gets archived, we go live here on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And it's proudly presented by our fantastic Central and Upstate New York partners that you've heard throughout the show: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Honda City of Liverpool, Avicoli's, K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding, the Millhouse Market, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. You go to maandpazpopcorn.com, as you see right here, and use my promo code. If you live in the community and you're already going to go to Liverpool to go pick up your popcorn, your kettle corn, go to maandpazpopcorn.com. Use the promo code to get 20% off. So before you go in, if you're just going to drive over to Liverpool, 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, use my promo code online and designate it for in-store pickup. That's maandpazpopcorn.com. Use my promo code DT20 for 20% off for in-store pickup and delivery to all 50 states. So if you're in Hawaii, as well as California, other parts of New York, Pennsylvania, Florida, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, and on and on and on and on and on, Ohio, and so on and so forth, go to maandpazpopcorn.com for in-store pickup or delivery to 50 states. Use the promo code DT20, that's DT20, for 20% off at checkout on all online orders for maandpazpopcorn.com. A perfect gift to give to Mom for Mother's Day. With that being stated, from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, I want to bid you adieu. Thanks to Cafe Kubal for all that they do and all their locations on 3501 James Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where CoWorks is, where you can rent out a space for your business and utilize the podcasting headquarters and have people edit your video and audio for you. You can also go to 401 South Salina Street, 324 West Water Street, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital. And my prayers and my hopes for everybody there and all of their loved ones, that everybody comes out of that building with good news and a healthy family, and just good all around, and prayers being answered. And of course, 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, where Rob Drummond and I just were this week for our live on-site broadcast. So plenty of great stuff coming up. This coming Monday, May 10th, we'll be on-site on location at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time with West Genesee Boys Lacrosse Sean Smith, as well as Alex Rosa and Ethan Desco, Mike Sarakis, and Nick Louise will all be on site on location with me to honor the boys lacrosse team at West Genny at the Wildcat Sports Pub. So West Genesee Wildcats at the Wildcat this Monday for a live broadcast outside of our morning show. We'll be on site on location for a bonus live broadcast exclusive with West Genesee Boys Lacrosse team, and we'll be honoring them in a spotlight special at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York this Monday, May 10th at 7:30 p.m., and we'll have plenty more stuff coming up as well. So, in the meantime, again, thank you to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week, Chick-fil-A Cicero for lead. Please continue to pray for Jimmer and his loved ones and everyone everywhere. The top dog and anyone with ALS or with anything going on. The top dog of the week presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Kampgroud Dog Boarding, who is Andrew Smith, who we got to have an extensive conversation with on his 200th victory. And we got to shout out my alma mater, which is always a great thing to do. So much love to everybody on the show today, and plenty of love going to you. As always, find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, and of course on WakeUpCallDT.com. God bless. No stress. Do your best. I'll say it again because I always leave you with this. God bless. No stress. Do your best. I'll talk with you soon. God bless y'all. Be good.